I want to show you something. That's my LinkedIn. 90 days, over 40,000 impressions, over 10,000 people. And this is the revenue that I've brought in through LinkedIn. Mid 5 figures, not bad, from just one channel that I was barely taking seriously before. Now, here's the thing that I need to tell you up front. Those follower numbers, not impressive. My profile wasn't blowing up and I wasn't going viral. What was happening was way more specific than that. And that's exactly what this video is about. Hi, I'm Jamila Jan and I'm a chartered marketer. I run a program called the Beyond Referrals LinkedIn Engine, and I help boutique professional services firms, law firms, consultants, specialist agencies build a LinkedIn presence that actually produces qualified conversations instead of just sitting there looking polished. And for the last 100 days, I ran an experiment on myself. I posted every single day. I tracked what happened, and at the end of it, I'm going to tell you exactly what worked, what didn't, and what I would do differently, because the whole point of running this on myself was so that my clients wouldn't have to guess. Here's what I want you to walk away from this video understanding. LinkedIn can be a client attraction system, not a vanity metric, a system. But most firms aren't using it that way. They're posting occasionally, getting some likes, and wondering why qualified leads aren't coming through. The problem isn't that LinkedIn doesn't work. The problem is that it's being used in bits and pieces. A better profile here, a few posts there, the occasional message, with no clear path that turns attention into actual booked calls. When I started this experiment, I already had evidence it could work, but I didn't have a documented, repeatable story. So I built one. Let me show you what happened. A pharmacist in Ontario found me through LinkedIn. She runs an online mentorship for other pharmacists and was trying to figure out how to build her website. And she reached out after a post. We worked together. A B2B company in the e-commerce space based in the UK came through LinkedIn content, not a cold outreach, not a referral, content. And the project that closed on day 100 of this experiment, a website build. It started with a LinkedIn post. Day 100, project closed, and I have a bunch more in the pipeline from the same source. And that is what a LinkedIn system looks like when it's working. Who this is for. Before I get into what actually happened over the 100 days, I want to be clear about who this is for, because this video will either be very relevant to you or it's not really where you need to be here for. So this is for you if you run a boutique professional services firm like law, consulting, or a specialist agency, and you have a small team and you're good at what you do. It's also for you if your pipeline feels like mostly referrals. Now, don't get me wrong, referrals are wonderful, and I'm not here to tell you that they're bad, but if they're your entire strategy, then your pipeline is completely outside of your control. You're waiting every month, you're waiting to see what comes in, you're waiting. It's not good. And when things get quiet, which they will, marketing suddenly becomes urgent and you post a few times and you send a few messages and then a project comes in and then you stop marketing again. If that sounds familiar, then this video is about breaking that cycle. Here's what's happening in professional services right now. Buyers are doing more research before they ever get on a call. Your reputation used to travel through word of mouth. Now it also travels through your LinkedIn profile, your content, your website, and whether or not you show up when someone goes searching for you. This is obviously not a LinkedIn sales pitch. It's just what buyers are doing right now. And the firms who have figured this out are not the ones with the biggest followings. They're the ones who are consistent, specific, and clear about who they help and what they do. The firms still waiting for referrals to be enough are finding it's taking longer, pipelines thinner, and the trust building that used to have over coffee or a chamber event, that has to happen somewhere online too. And that's the opportunity. It's not complicated, but it does require strategy, not just busy work and activity. A little bit about me, because context matters. I'm a chartered marketer, and that's a professional designation from the Chartered Institute of Marketing. I've been in marketing for over a decade. I've run paid ads, I've built content strategies, I've written proposals for clients across North America and Europe. And a few years ago, I started noticing something. My own LinkedIn was producing more qualified conversations than most of the other channels I was managing for clients. Not because I was doing anything radical, because I was being specific and consistent about who I help and what I think. So I made a decision. I was gonna run this as a real experiment, not just post and hope. I was gonna post with intention, track what happens so that I could tell my clients whether or not this works. Day one was honestly a bit daunting. I mean, I'm a marketer. I know what good content looks like, but committing to 100 days of daily posting when your own business is also the client, that's different. The hardest part wasn't the writing. It was figuring out what content would be consistent enough to keep up with and specific enough to actually resonate with the right people. Not everyone, the right people. Because that's really the distinction that matters. You can have 50,000 impressions and 0 qualified conversations, or you can have 600 impressions and 1 conversation that turns into a $30,000 project. I've seen both, and the number on the screen is not the point. Okay, let me get into what I actually learned. I'm gonna give you 3 things, not tactics, not hacks, just 3 things about how LinkedIn actually works as a business development tool for professional services firm. So, education step 1. Most firm owners treat their LinkedIn like a CV, where they worked, what credentials they have, their job title. Your ideal client does not care about your career history until they believe you can help them, okay? What they care about first is this person for me, and do they understand my situation? Your headline, your about section, your featured section, those are not biographical. They're answering one question: why should I keep reading? When I looked at the profiles of firms who were getting results from LinkedIn, the pattern was the same: clear, specific, outcome focused, not a list of services. Now, the posts that built my pipeline were not the ones that said, here's what I offer, although I did post those. They were the ones that said something true about the situation my ideal client was already in. I wrote a post that said, most business problems are trust problems. That one got 1,400 impressions and multiple DMs from people saying, this is exactly what we're dealing with. I wrote a post called 37 likes, 5 comments, 0 inquiries. It was about exactly this, the difference between engagement and business. That one reached over 600 people and started 3 conversations. And another one, referrals are not a strategy, they're a starting point. 472 people, all the right people. None of these were promotional. All of them produced conversations. LinkedIn is not a broadcast platform for professional services. It's a warm-up platform. Your content does the work of making sure that when somebody is ready to have a conversation, they already know who you are, what you think, and whether you're worth talking to. The DM or the booked call is where business actually happens. And the difference between a cold outreach DM and a DM from someone who's been reading your content for 3 weeks is enormous. One of these conversations starts from 0, the other one starts from trust. And that is what consistent content does. It builds the trust before the call. So when someone reaches out or you reach out, there's already a foundation. Here's what I want to say about the hard part, because if I only tell you the wins, this video is going to be useless. The content that flopped almost always was the content I made when I was tired or posting just to post. When I lost the specificity, when I was just writing for everyone instead of for one person. Consistency without intention is just noise. Posting every day is not the point. Posting something useful, specific, and true to the right person every day, that's the point. And some days I hit it and some days I didn't. The posts that got the most impressions were not always the ones that produced conversations, and the posts that produced conversations were not always the ones that got the most impressions. This is the thing that took me weeks to really sit with. The metric that matters most is not the one LinkedIn shows you first. Let me put the numbers into context, because I think this is where a lot of people get discouraged. 44,000 impressions in 90 days, 10,000 unique members reached, 529 newsletter subscribers, mid 5 figures in revenue from LinkedIn source projects. Okay, those numbers look good, but what they don't show is that my follower count is not massive. I'm not a LinkedIn influencer, and I don't have tens of thousands of connections. What I do have though is I have an audience of the right people, and I have content that speaks directly to the situation that those people are in. That's what makes a difference. Remember, a pharmacist in Ontario found me, a B2B e-commerce store in the UK found me. I closed several projects actually within this time period. None of these people came from a viral post. All of them came from consistent, specific content that spoke to something real about their situation. Followers are a lagging indicator. Conversations are the real metric here. So here's what I tell any professional services firm owner who's sitting on a LinkedIn profile that isn't doing too much. 1, fix your profile first, not your posts. Your profile is the first thing people come across after they've read your post that caught their attention. If it doesn't answer, is this person for me in 5 seconds, you've lost them. 2, post with a purpose, not a schedule. Consistency matters, but posting about something specific and true to your ideal client produces conversations. One person, not everyone. And 3, let the content do the warming up. Your DM should not be cold. Your content should make the conversation feel like a continuation of what you've posted, not a cold call. And that's it. Not 10 steps, just 3. Now, here's what I built out of everything that I learned. It's called the Sell on LinkedIn DIY Starter Kit. And it exists because most boutique firm owners don't need a full retainer to get LinkedIn working. They need the pieces in the right order with the right prompts. So let me tell you what's inside. A profile optimization pack, headline formulas, about section prompts, featured section structure, so your profile stops reading like a resume and starts working like a landing page. An ICP messaging framework, so you're clear on exactly who you're targeting and how to talk about their situation in a way that actually lands. This is the piece most people skip, and it's also the piece that determines whether your content produces conversations or just impressions. 15 plug and play post templates, authority post, story post, proof post, conversation starting post, the kind that produce those DMs that I mentioned. Connection and DM scripts, so you can start conversations without sounding like a bot or a pushy sales rep. And a daily 15-minute engagement routine, so LinkedIn doesn't become another job, and you know exactly what to do, who to stay engaged with, and how to stay visible without living on the platform. Cynthia, one of the people who worked through this, she had no idea what to post before getting the kit. And within the first week of using the template, she landed 2 discovery calls. That's amazing. Who is this for? This is for you if you're still waiting to see whether referrals come through this month, your pipeline feels uneven, and marketing only gets attention when you're in dire straits. You're posting inconsistently and hoping that your visibility turns into leads. This is not for you if you're already kind of running a consistent LinkedIn strategy and booking calls regularly. You don't need this. This is a starting point, but not a shortcut for people who have already figured it out. The kit is $97. I'm not going to tell you it's going on sale on Friday. I'm not going to tell you that there are only 3 left. There aren't. What I will tell you is this. 1 conversation from LinkedIn, covers the cost of this kit many times over. And if you've been sitting on a LinkedIn profile for the past year and it's not produced a single qualified conversation, then something needs to change. And this is what needs to change. The link is in the description, and if you have any questions, my DMs are always open on LinkedIn. And if you've been watching this thinking, this is exactly the situation that I'm in, this is your sign. And that feeling is data. Okay, one last thing. Day 100 of my experiment, I was relieved. And I was genuinely surprised. Not that LinkedIn worked, but at how specifically it worked. The people who found me were the right people. The conversations were easy because the content had already done the work. And that's what a system does. It doesn't generate hype, it generates the right conversations at the right time with the people who are ready to work with you. If that's what you've been looking for, the link is below. And if you want to keep watching, I'll put up another video next on exactly how to build a LinkedIn profile that works as a landing page, because that's where most firms are leaving the most money on the table. Bye.